Take a seat right there. What the f*** was that out there today?
What do you mean?
Don't act stupid. You drove like a dumbass all race long. That's exactly how you become the laughing stock of the sport. You ran over the 77 several times and screwed up the finish by wrecking more cars. What the f*** was going through your head?
Look, dude, I mean, it wasn't what I was trying to do. The car drove like garbage all day long. I mean, I'm in a terrible car. I'm just trying to do what I can to make the playoffs, and I made some mistakes today. I screwed up.
Yeah, you did. We're putting you on probation for 4 races. If you pull that shit again, you're gone for a week. Clean it up next week.
Yes, sir. Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of a NASCAR Heat 5 career mode here on the channel. Well, you heard the little introduction there, our chat with NASCAR, and they're not happy. We have gotten probation for 4 races following our actions, detrimental you could call them, on the last episode there at Richmond Raceway. It was not pretty. I drove through the 77 multiple times. It caused a late accident, all on just overdriving the car, and it was pretty ugly. It was pretty stupid of myself as well. But yeah, we come into now another short track. We're on that short track swing where we have Richmond, Bristol, Martinsville on the way. We're 7 points out of the playoffs currently, which I'm pretty happy with, to be completely honest with you guys, considering the ups and downs so far of the season. Now, I will say, you know, this season so far, it seems like when we have a big down moment, we kind of bounce back and have a really good effort the next episode, and we kind of get like a top 10, top 5 run. We saw that, of course, with Atlanta, Mid-Ohio, and hopefully we can repeat a very big down there in Richmond and give it a high here in Bristol, a track where I expect to run pretty well, especially now colleague this weekend has a short track driver in the number 13 car. AJ Omendinger is not in the car. It is actually going to be Brendan Queen in that car, and Coupe Designs made the paint scheme for him that you will see. If you don't know who Brendan Queen is, he's a big short track guy. Some of his achievements include the 2022 South Carolina 400 win, 2020 Hampton Heat 200 winner, as well as the 2023 Battle of the Stars winner. You see his paint scheme on the screen. The paint scheme that he has in here is basically based off of that. How about the Super Mario kind of livery going on there? Mario's not on the actual car, but practice, it went okay. 6 laps, ended up being our fastest lap on the final lap that we actually ran. I was pretty happy with the pace in the car, so we would jump through into Saturday qualifying here with a goal of a 16.195 for this Top Golf Chevrolet Camaro here, as we're gonna exit turn 4, get underway. You're gonna see me run the top really as much as I can get away with in this episode. However, there's gonna be moments in the race where you want to be, of course, on the bottom, especially a lot of times you can get around some lap traffic way easier if you run that inside. But through 3 out of turn 4, going down to the middle there, opening up the exit across the stripe, a 16.079. It puts us P18 here on the Food City 500. Obviously not Bristol Dirt, but Season 2, likely we actually might have Bristol Dirt for this series, so stay tuned. Riley Herbst at the back of the grid here. Now you can see the rest of the order. Ty Gibbs, 25th there, as you can see, up in the top 10. On pole, it's going to be the short track guy, Brendan Queen, for colleague, our teammate, on pole. How about that? Now we'll see what he can do Saturday evening, or Saturday afternoon, Xfinity Series in town. Actually, they were at Martinsville. Jade Buford picked up the victory. I never thought I'd see the day, but he would pick up the win over the rest of the field. You can see the rest of the finishing order on your screen. We'll, of course, take a look at the standings following the Cup Series race here at the end of the episode. So now it's time to go racing Sunday in Bristol. Let's send it over to Chris Meyers.
NASCAR's short track swing continues as we arrive at Bristol Motor Speedway. Welcome everyone to what's been an exciting season so far. Last week we saw Canadian rookie Gary Owen get into some on-track scuffles, which landed him a 4-race probation. What do you think about that call, Mike and Clint?
Honestly, Chris, I think the penalty fits the crime. Owen ran over Ty Dillon several times and, of course, caused another late race crash involving Todd Gilliland and Eric Jones.
I agree with you, Mike. The kid has a lot of speed. He'll learn from this. We got Tony Stewart with us today. What's your thoughts, Tony?
All I'll say is he's lucky he didn't wreck one of my cars. I would have whooped his ass after the race.
All right, NASCAR team. I just want to say thanks for the hard work this weekend. Thanks for continuing to believe in me after what happened last week, and I'm not going to let you guys down today.
We got your back, man. Let's have a good run today.
You hear our pre-race radio communications there as you get ready to see the stories of the race. Of course, the picture is not actually Brendan Queen, that's Chandler Smith, because we change drivers so often I don't want to go through the hassle of changing the picture and then risk more issues with the game. So Christopher Bell starting at the back now after missing the drivers' meeting. Brad Keselowski crashed during qualifying, so those two drivers starting at the back of the field. So instead of, well, P18, we do move up a spot here now to P17 as we're going to get ready to roll here from Bristol Motor Speedway. Brendan Queen, the short track ringer, leads the field to the green in his first ever NASCAR Cup Series race. What can he do in that 13 car? An opportunity to, of course, put his name on the Cup Series map. And, well, we'll wait and see how it turns out, of course, now as we have a whole race to get under his belt now as we head down through turn 3 and 4 on this opening lap now. In real life, Caldig had a dirt guy come into that 13 car for the Bristol dirt race, so we were basically just doing that again just to fit the asphalt Bristol, which is now with Brendan Queen in the car. So nonetheless, up the inside of Kurt Busch in that 6.7 monster Toyota Camry right there, he's able to get ahead of myself. I was struggling right off the bat here on the inside, and the big thing, of course, is I need to be very careful in this race to make sure I'm not running into anybody, wrecking anybody, of course. So Bristol is a track where you can really get physical, really get aggressive, but I'm on a 4-race probation. I need to be very careful of it, and I can absolutely get suspended because I have a very easy system of how I would go about if we got suspended in the series. It's actually really easy and how I would do it. So I'm not going to explain it though, because I'm sure there might be a time eventually in the series when it comes around and it actually happens. However, look at me going backwards on the inside. I was looking for opportunities to get up to the outside and start moving my way forward, and I would get that opportunity behind Michael McDowell. However, McDowell was slower than molasses, so I would actually drop further back, and this is where the lack of aggression that I can really use because of the probation was coming into effect. I could have gone my way forward, but I had to jump back down behind Eric Jones and get to the inside, down to 27th place. The 13 of Brendan Queen had driven away from everybody. He had half a straightaway lead on second place, an absolutely incredible pace by the, well, driver in his Cup Series debut, almost shades of Shane Van Gisbergen in the Chicago Street Course of how good he is right off the bat in his first Cup race. A bit of a slide here on the exit of turn 2 for Keselowski. Nice save as we continue down this backstretch into turn number 3. But we're starting to move our way forward now as we start to get the field to kind of not strengthen, but, you know, get kind of weeded out a little bit. And we're able to get up to the outside and start making some headway here towards the end of stage 1. I knew there was good pace in this car. It was about being patient, and I was starting to now just get the reward of that patience. Up to P21, just like that. Now closing in on the back of my teammate of Justin Haley. We're going to go around the outside of him. So P1, P20, P21 for Colleague Racing right now. Daniel Suarez, P19, just in front of myself. Important to note, by the way, I have made driver rating changes. I won't say for who. We know Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon got a bit of a buff, but I have made driver changes with the ratings for several drivers coming into this episode. So you're going to notice a lot more changes in some drivers and how they perform and what I feel like would be more legitimate to the 2023 season compared to how they were doing in the game. I can't confirm one of them, actually. I will say Ty Gibbs was one of them, but there was several that I changed coming into this episode. Right at the end of the stage, though, the 13 is up now towards my teammate of Haley, lapping him. So Colleague puts Colleague a lap down, and right here on the last lap of the stage, Gibbs back up my inside. I was stuck behind Connor Daly, who's going a lap down, and it was actually Brendan Queen who won his first ever stage in the NASCAR Cup Series in his first attempt as 10th place crosses the line, so we get P19 there. I could have got more aggressive on the 54 and the 11, but just wanted to kind of get to the end of the stage. I was pretty happy with the climb forward. We were the last car on the lead lap. Haley will get the lucky dog, so it keeps all Colleague cars on the lead lap, but a lucky dog in Bristol, not always the best in the world unless you get a quick caution because, of course, he has to start at the tail end of the longest line. The only adjustment we were doing was putting the more grill tape on, which we already know is not even legal in the next-gen car, but now getting ready to go green for Stage 2. Kyle Busch in second place right now. Of course, Richard Childress Racing made some personnel changes coming into this episode, and we're seeing the benefits there maybe with Kyle Busch. Brendan Queen dropped to 4th in the pits. We gained a huge amount of positions up into P11 for the restart as we're back underway. 27 laps here in stage number 2. Ross Chastain there on the outside of Austin Dillon, who's also seeming to immediately have a nice performance boost with those personnel changes at Richard Childress Racing. side by side, wheel to wheel with Denny Hamlin, who really seemed to be struggling on pace in stage 1, and I'm not going to be surprised if we see the same here in stage 2. Kyle Busch out to the early lead here, as over the 14 of Chase Briscoe, just behind him Chris Buescher, and there you can see up ahead 3 wide. It looked like Brendan Queen got a little aggressive there. He forced it 3 wide, and he moves up into 3rd, already putting the bumper to the back of the 14 of Chase Briscoe, as I was starting to struggle a little bit here. The short run is my weak spot of this race right now. Brendan Queen, he had already passed Briscoe and Kyle Busch, went back to the lead and drove away again in just 8 laps in stage 2. I'm pretty sure if he has an agent, his phone is already ringing for next season. I mean, he's doing an absolutely superb job here. Now, he does not have the best short track rating, I can tell you that, and that's why I was even more impressed by his AI doing what it was doing. I dropped to P14, unfortunately, early here in stage 2, but just kind of getting warmed up now, but you can see lap traffic playing a big role really early on. So everybody that was trapped a lap down, basically 90% of the cars that were trapped a lap down, did not pit at the end of stage 1, because they were trying the wave around strategy and banking on a caution to stay on the lead lap. That caution not coming, and you can see now Kyle Busch, who took the lead in the opening moments of stage 2, now outside of the top 10. But look at this, all these cars on about 30 extra lap old tires compared to everybody else that pitted at the end of the stage. You can see the difference. It was holding up lead lap cars like crazy, opening the door of opportunity for myself. Here we are slipping up the inside of Busch, Almirola, etc. There you got Brendan Poole as well as Ryan Preece a lap down now, but basically everybody that stayed out went a lap down again because they were so slow having those older tires. So staying out, getting the wave around did not benefit a single driver. Martin Truex Jr., one of the drivers struggling here. He's having a rough day so far in that number 19 now. So we get some radio from that 19 of Truex.
What a terrible strategy, guys. We're done.
Driver sounding defeated right there in what could be his final season of Cup Series competition. Still don't know what Truex is doing for 2024 in real life or in NASCAR Heat 5, and his real life decision may not necessarily reflect what happens in game. So he could decide to retire in real life, and he might come back in the game here. Now on the inside, putting Daniel Suarez a lap down. Suarez into the outside wall. He's blown a right front tire there into the outside wall. The caution's gonna fly. Suarez with a tire failure late in stage 2. He was one of the drivers on old tires, so not necessarily surprising to see all of the lead lap cars except for Christopher Bell staying out. Of course, the guys that went a lap down, they're forced to pit because they didn't pit at the end of stage 1. I decided I'm going to pit because myself and Christopher Bell can both do this. We only need to run a couple of laps, and whoever got the lucky dog, I think it might have been Brad Keselowski. Yes, Keselowski's going to do the same. We're only going to run a few laps on 4 fresh tires while everybody in front of us is on old tires. They're going to pit at the end of stage 2, which means myself, Christopher Bell, and the lucky dog of Brad Keselowski are going to be able to cycle through to the front 3 positions following the stage while everybody else pits for fresh rubber. It's going to be Brendan Queen, though, leading the way down the backstretch into turn 3 with a lap and a half to go in stage 2. Kyle Larson, Chris Buescher up there in the mix. Ty Gibbs, I think that is. There's so many monster cars, I don't know which one it is up there, but it's either Ty Gibbs or Kurt Busch. I'm pretty sure it's Gibbs, though. Gibbs is a little bit further back. That's Kurt Busch in 3rd as we exit turn 2 side by side with Hamlin. I'm just cruising on this final lap. I'm just kind of letting the car flow down into turn 3, nice and easy. Brendan Queen wins the first 2 opening stages here in Bristol. What a drive from the Cup Series rookie in his debut as we cross the stripe for P16. So pretty happy with that, and as you can see, I'm going to stay out. And so is Bell and Brad Keselowski. So we will take the top 3 positions here, and we'll see where the rest of the field cycles out. But we are going to be leading for beginning of stage 3. We'll take that absolutely here. We'll see if this strategy actually works out. Only 1% wear on each tire, so I think we made a good move here. Brendan Queen is the winner out of the pit lane, so P4, we'll see what he can do from that outside here as we're going to get ready to go back racing here. Now we are in control, so one colleague car to another. Here we go, back underway for stage number 3. Christopher Bell on my outside. Of course, Bell has had a hot start to the season, a win already. He's been close to multiple wins, of course, but hasn't quite been able to get that second one so far, but he might be in position to do it here today. I really don't think I'm going to have enough for that 20. Bell started at the back, after failing, or after missing the driver's meeting. What an idiot. But he goes through to the lead and through to second. Immediately, my teammate of Brendan Queen there, and Chase Elliott around my outside there. That Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet going to get the position. Kozlowski just behind myself. So Queen to second already. Things are looking pretty good for that number 13 car, but I maybe spoke too soon. Chase Elliott, lap 68, they had driven away from me, but Elliott actually passes Queen and continues to drive away as Brendan continues to actually fade from the leaders. Looks like the 13 team may have gone the wrong way on adjustments between stage 2 and 3 because, yeah, Brendan Queen was continuing to lose time to the top 2 cars and go backwards, so things are not looking good for him after a race he is, well, quite simply dominated as I was continuing to fall back here. Now, of course, the short run just does not benefit this 4-star colleague car at all, so I'm just kind of hanging on and waiting for that transition to where you go from that short run speed to that long run speed, and the field kind of changes up a bit, and I knew that was going to come eventually. Kyle Busch up my inside here, Ty Gibbs just in front of me. Now Gibbs having a great run here today in Bristol. William Byron, of course, 2 wins on the season now, slipping up my inside. Byron so strong in that beautiful Raptor car. I love it so much now. Ryan Blaney gets past me. We drop down now to P11. Now lap traffic was starting to become an issue for the leaders, and our group was about to hit those cars as well, and that would actually help Chase Elliott get to the lead briefly before Bell would actually return to the lead now as we clear Eric Almirola, and just trying my best to hang on. But here comes Joey Logano, who's showing a lot of speed here late in the day in that Shell Pennzoil Ford Mustang. Maybe they went the right way on adjustments because look at him go. But that lap traffic, that's going to be the deciding factor here. Connor Daly holds up Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. The 2 Kyles getting screwed over right there, and that opens the door again for me to go up the inside of the 8. Back up into the top 10 we go. We'll pass the 50 as well on the exit of 2 to get clear. So now more lap traffic though. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. planted directly in front of the nose of Logano. That allows me to go through into P7. So I'm just using the lap cars at this point to get whatever positions I can. Unfortunately, Brendan Queen struggled hard in this 3rd and final stage. Now he is down to P6 after a race he's dominated. They clearly went the wrong way in the pit lane, and you can see he is now struggling quite hard. And I mean, P6 struggling, what a day that is for that 13 car now, as he's actually fighting with Ty Dillon briefly, but here I am. I almost felt bad for passing him right here for position after what a debut he has had. Nonetheless, I mean, it's proven that he can wheel a race car here in the Cup Series, and I would not be surprised if he is getting some calls. Maybe not from Call League, maybe so. We don't know what's going on with Justin Haley for 2024. Let me know in the comments, should we see Brendan Queen maybe get another opportunity here sometime throughout the season or even full-time in the Cup Series, because he has done a heck of a job in his debut as we continue on working through this traffic. These are all lap cars in front of us that Ty Dillon, myself, and Queen are trying to navigate our way through. I'm getting aggressive at this point. It's late in the race. I'm going around the outside 3 wide and saying thank you very much for the position. So we are starting to capitalize. In the race earlier, we were very patient. It kind of worked, and now we're starting to pick up the aggression. I'm pretty comfortable again in racing around these guys, and I'm not going to wreck anybody. Up into 4th place. What a race this is turning into. However, we're about half a track behind the leader of Christopher Bell, 2.5 seconds behind Byron and his Hendrick teammate of Elliott's another just about 2.5 ahead of him. So we're not going to run down those guys unless we get a caution, which usually we get a late race caution. We got problems right there. Speaking of a yellow, are we going to get one? That's Kyle Larson. As you can see, the engine fails for Larson. Another mechanical failure there for the 5. Larson's having a bit of a rough stretch here as I get into the outside wall. Very slight there contact on the outside wall, but we had run down Byron because of that big stack up, and you can see myself really starting to push the envelope a little bit here now as I'm going to go all the way around the outside. Ty Dillon, of course, got to be very careful around that 77 after what happened last episode. Again, passing Martin Truex Jr. Unfortunately, Byron was able to drive away from me after this little battle, so we maintain 4th place for now. Still a little less than half a track behind that 20 of Christopher Bell, but the gap hasn't really changed. However, a new issue would come to light. 11 laps of fuel with well over 11 laps to go. I say well over 11 laps to go. 10 laps of fuel, 12 laps of racing to go.
We're going to be short here. Try to save if you can.
How short are we?
I'd say about a lap. Do what you can.
You may have noticed I changed the crew chief voice from Martin Truex Jr.'s voice to an actual different one that's now related to NASCAR. But yeah, we got a problem. Now, 8 laps to go, 7 laps to fuel, so we're right about that 1 lap short that our crew chief, Stevie Speed, kind of specifies. It's going to be about that 1 lap situation. We have run down both 2nd and 3rd of Byron and Chase Elliott here. They have struggled in lap traffic. This is where I'm hoping I can save a little bit of fuel because it slows our pace down here. It's hard to save fuel at Bristol without losing a ton of time because it's such such a fast-paced momentum track here now, but I'm going to go around the outside here, 3 wide with the 9 and the 24 and the exit at 2, maybe a little bit of contact just about with the 9, but we continue to get ahead of him now as we're going to go all the way to the outside wall again, 3 wide with Austin Dillon. As you can see, it's working. We've gotten up into the runner-up position here in Bristol, as I would love a caution right about now because we only have 2 laps to feel, and we're coming to, what, 3 laps to go, and it's not looking very good for myself here now as we go down into turn 1. There's the field light with 3 to go. In the background, Byron's pitting now in the 24, so we're not the only one in this situation. Christopher Bell, the leader, is coming into the pits as well. I'm going to split these guys of Daly and Hill. 3 wide. Elliott's into the pits as well in the background, and we're to the lead with 2 laps to go. I decide we're going to run it to the end of this race because I think we can cruise around the bottom of the track out of fuel and get a better finishing position versus if I have to ride around in the pit lane and just to get a splash of fuel in pits. So I'm deciding, you know, we might still win the race this way. We're coming to the white flag, and there it goes. We're running out of fuel. Second place is Kyle Busch in the Richard Childress car, fresh off of the personnel changes. Are they about to get a win immediately after these changes? Because I'm pulling to the apron. I'm out. We're cruising to the end. We're going to see how it goes. I don't think we're going to win, of course, unless Kyle Busch and others run out, but that's not going to be the case. Kyle Busch is going to take the... Well, hold on. He's cruising, and there he goes. Now they slow up, but Kyle Busch is going to exit 4 to win in Bristol. We cruise to the line. P10 is what we're going to end up getting. So, disappointing for P10, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm disappointed with that because it could have gone a lot worse, but at the same time, I don't think I've ever had a fuel race develop in Bristol, and it kind of came out of nowhere. Christopher Bell, again, comes up short of his second win. Brendan Queen, I think the heart breaks for him outside of the top 20 after what was such a good race for him, but he still cannot hold his head down after that. Bubba Wallace with a rough day. Same for Kyle Larson, of course, with the mechanical failure. But we end up P10 because of the fuel running out, which is frustrating, but it is what it is, as I'd like to say way too much now. It is what it is. That's like my favorite quote. But yeah, we actually get back into the playoffs. Larson's down to 15th after back-to-back issues, as Larson's been very quick. It's just there's a lot of issues plaguing that 5 team so far. Haley is only out by a point, Briscoe out by 8, Almirola, Truex, and Gibbs all out. How about Truex? I'm surprised to see him out, but he's of course had some issues as well. He's like Larson, a lot of speed, but a lot of issues. That's going to wrap it up for myself. We've made it through race 1 of 4 of the probation without issues. Next up, another short track race at Martinsville to end the short track swing. It'll be interesting. I'll see you guys then. Have a great day, everybody.